Hello, everyone, and welcome to our very last of our 31-day mental health hack series. I cannot believe that this is the 31st day. Thank you so much for dropping in. And if you've missed some, that's all good. Just drop in as and when you can. Some are 5-minute quick drop-ins of inspiration, insight, tools, and hacks that can help you elevate or better support your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. And heaven only knows that we could all do with some more hacks and inspo. So I hope that these have been a contribution. Thank you to everyone that has commented, that has sent me messages. It really just encourages me to know that the content that we're sharing is being a contribution to your life and your living. So thank you so much. So today I wanted to, being the last one, of course, I went into, what can I share? What is the last one? Of course, it's not the last one, but my mind wants to get it still good, right, and perfect, because that's what I've done my whole life. So I've released that. And what I wanted to share today, based on this weekend, I facilitated, and this is a tool that not many people know about. And I didn't know about it until about 2 years ago. And once I started applying it, using it, really diving deep into it, exploring it, it's really supported me in so many ways, mentally, emotionally, and physically, where when it comes to anxiety, overwhelm, sadness, grief, trauma, depression, not sleeping, so bad quality sleep, lack of focus, lack of clarity. So I really needed something to support me. And there's meditation, which is great, but I struggle with meditation a lot of the times. I struggle to just calm my mind and center it and focus it. It's a lot of effort for me. And yoga is great and movement is great, but I needed something else. So what I'm talking about or referring to is access bars that my bestie introduced me to. And I was her guinea pig, and she just pretty much didn't give me much of an option, which I'm so grateful for. So Ange, thank you, my pud. I love you. And I'm so grateful that you introduced access bars into my life. So what is access bars? And this is where, wherever you are in the world, there will probably be a practitioner or a facilitator close to you that you can go get your bars run. So access bars really it's a deep relaxation technique where it's not talk therapy. So my work as a life alignment coach and business development coach, there's some talking involved, although I do not let you go into the story. So if you are needing or requiring some support and guidance, and you want to stay stuck in your story and repeat the story of your trauma and your past again and again and again, then please don't come to me, because I'm not going to allow you to stay stuck in your story. Yes, the story will give me context, but once we've done it, then it's done. Then it's about, how do we move forward? How do we recreate our lives? How do we reinvent ourselves? How do we realign and get clarity on where we want to go? So just an aside, that's the coaching side. And why I'm mentioning that is, so many times, my clients will have gone to therapists and they've been going to them for years and they're not getting breakthrough. So if this is something, maybe you've been averse to going to a therapist because you just don't want to talk about your story anymore. It's too painful. You don't want to keep reliving it. And there are so many statistics that show that you reliving your story by resharing and retelling your story all the time, which can be necessary when you're going through the trauma because it's a way of releasing. But after the trauma, if you're still staying stuck in the story, which is something you're choosing to do, it's staying stuck in your DNA, in your body. So your body and your cells are actually experiencing that trauma again and again. So you're not getting release. What Access Bars does is you do not need to speak. You do not need to do anything. You literally just lie back on the recliner or on the massage table, and you can fall asleep, you can chat, it doesn't matter. But what it does is, there's 32 points on the head. Oh man, and I'm sharing this because we just had such a transformational weekend. I hosted or facilitated an Access Bars practitioners class yesterday in Cape Town, my very first one in Cape Town, which I'm so grateful for. And the shifts have been massive, the physical shifts, the emotional shifts, and there's still so much coming up and so much that's happening. But what it does is it dissipates the electromagnetic charges in your brain. And we, or Access Consciousness, has done research, they've done QEEGs, which is the brain scan, on participants for before a 60 to 90-minute session of access bars and then afterwards. And the brain activities, I'll share the link below from the neuroscientist, shows clearly the high activated red brain scans before a bar session, and then afterwards how it just becomes predominantly, I think it's blue. That's completely the opposite. So that deep state of relaxation. And when you're in that state, you have clarity of mind. You are able to manage and regulate your emotions in a completely different way. You aren't as triggered. Your digestive system is able to process what you're going through. It helps you get to a state of calm and more ease so that you aren't as reactive in situations. So our mantra in Access Consciousness is all of life comes to me with ease and joy and the exuberant expression of life and living. And that's truly what it does, is it expands your being. It gives you more space so that you can almost just breathe. It's like hitting the reset button of your life to declutter that overactive mind and just give you the space to just breathe. And for so many people, they haven't had or experienced this type of ease and space, and it's beyond just calm and relaxation. So this work I love. It's supported me through so much trauma that I went through in the last year and a half, 2 years. You may know part of the story. And I know that if I hadn't been getting my bars run weekly, thanks to my bestie, we were swapping bars every single week. And such a contribution, because after it's part of the divorce, really painful, traumatic divorce, and I had to show up because it was August when all of this happened, when it all went down, which is Women's Month in South Africa and my busiest month in the year. So I was, back to back client workshops and inspirational keynote talks and masterclasses. So 2 days or 3 days after, I had to show up for a few hundred women, and the day after that for another few hundred women, and the day after that. And it carried on for the whole month of August and into September. And friends of mine or people that have gone through divorce were looking at me in shock, like, how are you showing up? How are you able to stand up and host and facilitate these workshops and these calls and these coaching sessions the way you are? Because we were broken when we went through this. And yes, part of it is maybe personality, because I'm so used to muscling my way through life. But it's so much more than that, because at some point when you hit that breaking point, there's only so much you can do. When your body goes into a state of shock, there's no amount of talk therapy that is going to be able to support you. And that's where Access Bars is the most beautiful contribution, because we try and figure out so much of our life in our minds, right? We try and find the solutions in our mind. And there's that beautiful saying by, I'm being barked at by my friends' dogs. They don't recognize me through the window. By Albert Einstein saying, if you could have solved, and I'm paraphrasing, but if you could have solved all the problems in your life through the same mind, or you cannot solve the problems in your life using the same mind that created them. And that's what we try to do, right? And for fairly intelligent humans, like we all are, more so, if we could have fixed our lives by thinking about it, we would have by now. So this goes beyond, where we get to co-create our lives with our bodies, and we don't acknowledge our bodies. I never did. I used to just take my body for granted, and didn't matter what I was going through, I used to just drag her along, because my mind was like, okay, we need to do this and this and this. Doesn't matter if you're sick, doesn't matter if you're in pain, doesn't matter. And I would just drag her along. And what Access has done is open me up to the possibilities of creating my life in a different way, showing up in my life in a different way, choosing something else, and not from a linear mind or left brain figuring out the next step and problem solving way, but rather what else is possible. And it might sound so similar in saying that, I was, man, I was always the problem solver. If anyone needed help with something, like just ask P, she'll figure it out. Even if it's not in her field of expertise, ask her, she'll figure it out. She'll know someone, she'll think of someone. So I've been the yellow pages, if you remember that. Maybe I'm giving my age. But I was kind of the yellow pages my whole life growing up. And, always being the problem solver, figuring things out, which put a lot of pressure on me to be on all the time, 24/7, 365. Where now, instead of trying to solve a problem, and this is where I help a lot of my clients with in corporates as well and with their teams, is instead of trying to solve problems, how about we start being open to possibilities? And that's where it sounds similar, but very different energies, very different ways of showing up for ourselves, for each other, in our teams, for our clients, for our organizations, and of course, our families and friends. So that's what this space has opened up for me. And I really wanted to share this because if we're looking at our mental health hacks, there's so many tools that we can do. There's meditation, there's yoga, there's breath work. I interviewed Tim right at the beginning. If you have a look at that video, Tim Wagner shared some great insights on breath work. And there's all of that exercise we know boosts our serotonin and drops our cortisol levels, et cetera, et cetera. And what else? And the what else for me was access bars. So I just want to invite you in this last episode of this series to try something different. I have tried so many modalities over the years, and this one for me has shifted so much in my life, especially over the last 2 years. And if you know me well, you'll know exactly what I'm referring to because you would have seen the shift. And if you've worked with me in the past and you've worked with me again now, you'll also recognize the shift on how my coaching has exponentialized. The way I coach has changed. There's more ease, there's more expansion, there's more space. So wherever you are, just give access bars a try. Like I mentioned, there are thousands of facilitators or at least practitioners all over the world. So we can find someone wherever you are. And what have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? The worst thing that could happen is you feel like you get a deep relaxation or relaxing massage. That's the worst that could happen. And it's not a massage, but you could just get a deep sleep, deep relaxation. And the best that could happen are infinite possibilities that your life can just change, that you can experience more ease in your life and living. And man, the transformations I've seen, not just in my life, but in my clients, people's and friends' lives whose bars I have run. And some of them are instant changes, the most incredible transformations. And others are more progressive where they feel it. But, I've run bars from like 7-year-olds to 70-year-olds. And, some kids with ADHD, like severe ADHD and on the spectrum and OCD that have been going to therapists for years and psychologists and on anti-anxiety meds and antidepressants and all of that. And, other people that are just struggling with something in their lives at the moment, some kind of trauma. Other people that just something needs to change in their lives, they're not sure what, and they just feel stuck. So it's really about giving you some ease and space. So I really hope that you take me up on the suggestion and get your bars run. I'll share the links below. Have a look. Let me know if you require any information. I'll be happy to share it with you. And if you are in Johannesburg or Cape Town at the moment, I would love to get my hands in your head and run your bars and just see what happens. Just see what happens, because if you are willing sometimes to try something different, something that you haven't tried before, something that may seem unconventional that you haven't heard about, because I tried a lot of alternative therapies as well. And, small bursts of relief or inspiration or lightness, but then very quickly go back to the overthinking, the over planning, the not sleeping. the feeling of having to get this good, right, and perfect, the going and the going and the going and the on. And even through the last year and a half, 2 years of all that trauma, I have never felt freer and more open, more expansive, having more ease with my life, even though I've gone through so much. And that does not make sense logically at all. I cannot explain it. But what I do know is it's thanks to this incredible technique called Access Bars, which was developed by Gary Douglas, and then Access Consciousness co-created by Dr. Den here. And if you missed my episode on relationships with Sarah Grandinetti, she is Dr. Den here's sister. So definitely check that out as well. So from me to you, I hope that this has been a contribution. If you don't know what I'm talking about, but you may be curious, let me know. Let's get someone to run your bars for you, and let's see what it opens for you. So yeah, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing you. Thank you for making the active decision to take out a few minutes of your day away from other scrolling and just being open to possibilities, being open to something else, whether it's an inspiration or a hack that you maybe haven't done before, or you've heard about it, or you should and you just haven't. So either way, stay plugged in. Stay plugged in. What you focus on expands. Stay plugged in elevating and supporting your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. And if that means, watching a video a day, or whenever, then just please do. And remember to share it with a friend that you think could benefit from this. And I would love for you to subscribe, share, and comment, because that would really help me in so many ways to just get more incredible guests, and also to know what is resonating with you. So thank you for being here. Have the most beautiful week ahead. And just one last thought for the week going forward is, think about what in your life isn't working. What area in your life isn't working? Is it your business, your work, your romantic relationships, your familial relationships, something to do with your body, something to do with hobbies because you don't have any, or your passions or direction in your life? Look at what it is if you can. See if you can identify just one area that isn't working for you. You may be thinking, Pete, my whole life. Let's start with one. And then my question to you, which I've asked a few times, and I'm wearing my Charities, my favorite top. What is just one thing that you can do tonight, tomorrow, or this week that can start shifting things for you in that area? So is it a question that you need to ask of yourself? Is it a conversation that you need to have with someone? Is it a skill that you need to up level on? Is it getting clarity on a certain area? And by clarity, you need to speak to someone, or you need to get professional support and guidance, whether it's with me or another coach that you feel comfortable with or you resonate with. What is just one thing that you require, and that if you do it and choose it this week, can take you one step closer to the energy and the life that you desire to create? Just one thing. You don't have to overdo it. Maybe it's one conversation or one task that, if you do that just one thing, is going to take you so much closer. So let me know what that just one thing is, or just tell it to yourself. Remind yourself out loud, write it down. As soon as we write things down, we're communicating with our brains that this is important to pay attention to. So something physiologically happens and shifts, versus just thinking, versus let me tell my brain, my mind, that this is important to pay attention to. Pen to paper, write it down and see what shifts and changes for you. And once you write it down, stick it up, keep it there, so you're reminding yourself all the time, what is just one thing that I can do this week that is going to shift things for me in this area? Hope that this has been a contribution. Thank you for being here. I adore you. Have a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening, whatever time you're watching this. And stay tuned. I'll definitely be uploading some more videos, not every single day, but definitely watch the space as I continue these conversations and start bringing on more incredible guests. Thank you so much. I adore you.